Hey everybody, it's Scott Steen. I am the lead handicapper over at winnersandwhiners.com. Winnersandwhiners.com, make sure you stop by and check it out. It is the #1 site in the world for predictive sports analysis on each and every game going on every single day. That's right, every game, every day, always free. Winnersandwhiners.com. Make sure you check it out, won't you please? And of course, if you're interested in more of my picks, I do have a premium service available. I will put the link in the description of the video. If you'd like to get on the premium team, we'd love to have you. Just follow the link and you'll be good to go. With that being said, let's take a look at game number 3 of this weekend's 4 divisional matchups as the Houston Texans travel north to Kansas City to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. They're at raucous Arrowhead Stadium. Chiefs, 9.5-point home favorite in this one. That game opened quickly at 8.5 and then pretty much went to 9.5, even as high as 10 in some places. Before a little bit of sharp action pounded that number, got it back down to 9.5. 51 is the total. It has been painted across the board pretty much industry-wide, and that really hasn't moved much as far as that number goes. The tail of the tape for these two teams, well, it goes a little something like this. The Houston Texans, 11-6 straight up on the year. They are the winners of the AFC South, 8-9 against the spread, and 7-10-1 overs versus unders. As far as the Kansas City Chiefs, they are the division winners and the #2 seed, winning the AFC West, 12-4 on the season, 11-5 against the spread, and even Steven, 8-8 overs versus unders. This is, like I said, the AFC division round, or as the people in Chicago call it, it's the Coulda Been Bowl, as they watch 2 quarterbacks still alive in the playoffs that may just both be better than Mitchell Trubisky, the quarterback the Bears traded up to pick. That's right. Even in a Kansas City Texans video, I still find a way to give Bears fans shit about Mitchell Trubisky. You're welcome. As far as this game goes, injuries really could play a critical role in this one, and all of a sudden, that's the case, as it looked good earlier in the week, but there could be some late line movement depending on who is actually good to go and who's actually injured. Now, I do think, as far as the line movement go, I think the line is pretty much set for the Chiefs. I don't see that getting back up to 10. However, the Chiefs, they have Travis Kelce and Chris Jones questionable. If for some reason both of those players can't go, I wouldn't be surprised to see this line come down into the 8.5 or 9 range. So if you wanted to pull the trigger on the Houston Texans, well, you could do better. You could do worse than doing it right now. Travis Kelce, he was limited in practice Friday, while Chris Jones did not participate. Both of them are officially listed as questionable. For the Texans, it's cornerback Jonathan Joseph and wide receiver Will Fuller who were limited and questionable. Now, Fuller, he is reported to be a game-time decision. That's what Coach Bill O'Brien said, so we won't really have any more information really on any of these players, but that's the ones that they said. Now, here's my take, and this is just my unofficial guess. I don't have any inside information. I wish I did, but, I do listen to, obviously, talk radio of both these teams, and here's what they have to say. But what I think is, first of all, I don't discount a little bit of the old Bill Belichick injury list okie doke, all right? They could be playing games, but if this is legit, and I have a feeling it probably is, I think it's more probable on the Chiefs' sides that Andy would be playing a little bit, that Jones or Kelce didn't, because they didn't have any previously reported issues. But assuming everything's on the level, here's my take. I think Kelce plays, and I think Jones sits, all right? Just judging by the way this injury came up, the fact that he hasn't played, what Andy has said, that's my guess. On the other side of the ball, I think Joseph plays, and I think Fuller sits. Even though Bill O'Brien says Fuller has passed all his tests, the fact that he remains a game-time decision, that's my hunch. So we'll see how that plays out. Again, I could be completely wrong on that as well. Now, like I said, I base this I'm basing it on nothing other than a hunch and trying to read between the line to figure out coach speak and kind of read reports coming out of both of these cities. The Fuller factor has been well documented in this space last week leading up to the game against the Buffalo Bills. Just a quick recap on what Fuller means to this Houston offense. In the regular season, Texans were just almost 7 full points better, about 6.8 points better per game, and they threw for roughly 150 more yards per game when Fuller was in the lineup versus when he wasn't. And as far as how they did versus the number, they were 2-3. So this is straight up without Fuller in the lineup, and they were They were 2-3 without him in the lineup. They were 8-3 with him in the lineup. There you go. So they basically the impact of Fuller goes far beyond what he does when he actually catches the ball. He stretches the field. He allows more opportunity for the Texans receivers the Texans receivers to find that open spot underneath and sit down so Watson can get him the ball. Now, as far as Chris Jones goes for the Chiefs, no player on the defense is more important to Kansas City. He had 9 sacks on the season, 20 quarterback hits in 13 games. But even more critical, a lot of times it's not about what he does, it's what the other team does in reaction to him and what that gives the Chiefs the ability to do. He has the ability to be a huge disruption on every single snap. He almost calls for a double team on every play, and he is a force up the middle that is going to absolutely be critical for the Chiefs in collapsing the pocket, forcing Watson to make decisions quicker than he would normally want to do. I think for me, the Houston offense versus the Chiefs defense is the one that's really going to decide this. Now, if you assume Pat Mahomes and his myriad of offensive weapons, along with the play designs of Andy Reid and offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy, if you assume that those guys are going to be able to score on their majority of drives, the only way to beat KC is to limit their opportunities. Now, if Kansas City puts up the usual 27 to 31 points, I think the Houston Texans are dead in the water. I think their win probability is very small of winning a shootout with these Kansas City Chiefs. The Texans, they have to win the time of possession battle, and to do that, they have to be able to run the ball effectively, and that was exactly their recipe for success when they beat the Chiefs at Arrowhead earlier this season. They rushed for 192 yards, they picked up 35 first downs, and they won the time of possession battle almost 2-1. They held the ball for 39 minutes and 41 seconds. Now, a lot of folks are using that game to predict the outcome of this one, which is always a sketchy undertaking under the best of circumstances, but it's even more so in this one. The Chiefs were missing several key players in that game, including wide receiver Sammy Watkins and starting left tackle Eric Fisher. In addition, Mahomes was on a gimpy ankle. He had injured it against Indianapolis the weekend prior, and he re-injured it against the Texans with about 11 minutes left to go in the second quarter, and he wasn't nearly as effective for the rest of the game. Now, before aggravating the ankle against the Texans, Mahomes had completed 10 of 16 passes, 189 yards. That's right, 189 yards in a quarter and 5 minutes, which is 11.8 yards per attempt and 2 touchdowns. Now, after he re-injured the ankle, 9 of 19, 84 yards, just 4.4 yards per attempt, another touchdown, and his first interception of the year. In addition to that, Tyreek Hill was coming off of his collarbone, his broken collarbone, and he was making his first start. He was on a pitch count, playing roughly just half the time he normally would. He still was very good when he was in there. In fact, he got 2 touchdown passes and then 6 passes for 80 yards, 5 passes for 80 yards. But, you give him 10 passes for 160 and 3 touchdown passes, maybe it's a different game. Now, on defense, the Chiefs were also banged up. They were missing Chris Jones again and linebacker Anthony Hitchens, who is the guy that basically is the defensive captain. He's the Mike linebacker. He's the one that calls all the defensive formations and adjustments. He will be back for this one. And Ben Neiman will be sitting. Now, the problem for the Texans is this Chiefs defense has improved dramatically in the last part of the season. In fact, statistically, they've basically been the top scoring defense in the NFL over the last 7 weeks. They've given up just 10.1 points per game. And an even bigger potential red flag for the Texans is how well the Chiefs are defending against the run. They've given up just 94 yards a game on the ground, which is a good mark. It's not fantastic, but here's the deal. Many of those yards came in blowout wins against the Raiders and the Bears when the game was already well in hand. The Chiefs were basically guarding against the home run ball, giving them 5-8 yards a time at a run. If you wanted to run and chew the clock up, the Chiefs were letting them do that. So even if Jones doesn't go, I think this defense is still in good shape. They have completely bought into new defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo's approach. In Houston, I think they're going to find the sledding much more difficult. Now, the final factor for me in this one is the coaching factor. Now, while Bill O'Brien's challenges have certainly been discussed ad nauseum by the media, by on Twitter, etc., Andy Reid, well, you've also heard maybe how he is coming off a bye, and he is very good. Going back to the 2003-2004 season, Big Reds teams have gone, when they've had more than a week between their games, they are 36-25-1. That is 59% against the spread. With more than a week to prepare, Reed is the second most profitable coach against the number behind, want to guess? Any guesses? Bill Belichick, there you go, who is 48-31-3. That is 59.7. Now, the Sunday games in the divisional playoffs traditionally, they're a bad spot for the home team. They're a good spot for the underdogs. It kind of flips from Saturday's games. But just like Saturday's games, I'm going to fade the trend in this one. I think KC once again gets off to a fast start. Only this time, I don't think they take their foot off the gas with the season that Lamar Jackson has had, coupled with the injuries that Pat Mahomes has been battling this year. He's kind of been the forgotten man. I think after Sunday, I think he's going to remind the world just how good he is. Kansas City Chiefs, they roll. Give me the Chiefs minus the 9.5. All right, you guys get down on the Chiefs with me. And at the end of this contest, you guys can join me. We'll pick up our winning tickets. We will head back to the window. All right, final note. I know a lot of you are going to give me shit because I am wearing a Pat Mahomes jersey. I'm a Chiefs fan. I hail from Kansas City. But as anybody who's watched my videos throughout the season knows, I am very objective. I'm very even-handed when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs. I liked this matchup from day one. This is the one that we rooted for last weekend. I didn't want any part of that Buffalo defense. I think this is a good matchup for the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs come out and punch them in the mouth. It's going to be cold. Could have some snow flurries in the area. It shouldn't be real windy, but it's not an environment that the Texans are going to enjoy in any way, shape, or form. Give me those Chiefs. All right. You guys don't forget to check out my daily videos. I do capper picks from some of our cappers over at Winners and Winers, as well as my own picks on the Daily Deep 3. Don't forget to stop by and check that out. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Give us a thumbs up on this one. And I want to wish you guys good luck on all your plays this weekend. We'll see you next time. Take care.